What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Lifting Nomad. My name is Alex, and for the last little bit, I've been staying in Split, Croatia. And I wanted to give my review of it as a city, as being a digital nomad. What's it like to live here? What's the nightlife like? What's the fitness culture like? If this is your first time on my channel, it's all about being that balanced lifestyle approach from tequila to bench press to beaches to nightlife while still being productive while you're staying in a city. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So, as all of you may know, or if you're new to the channel, maybe you don't, for the last couple years, I've been nomadic, traveling to, I guess like 17 or 18 different countries now, from South America to Europe to North America and Canada, where I'm from. And through that time, I've came to learn like what I see as important in a city that I would potentially move to or live to in the future for an extended period of time. I typically do slow travel, so on average, I would say a month minimum in these cities is what I'm staying. When I was in Argentina, I was there for like 3 months, probably going back to Argentina for 3 months again in the winter because it's awesome. But for the sake of this video, let's talk about Split, Croatia. So Split, Croatia is on the Adriatic Sea, kind of along the coast across from Italy and just a little bit north of countries like Albania, Montenegro, and then a little bit further south is Greece. And the Adriatic is very, very beautiful. It's kind of a similar sort of style to the Mediterranean, very blue waters, a lot of boat culture, a lot of cruise ships, that sort of thing. So very big export from the country of Croatia is actually sailors. One of the biggest producers of sailors and sailing communities in the world. So a ton of people come to Split to do things like Yacht Week, Sail Week, or even just daytime boat parties out of the harbor, and they go out all the time. So for the purpose of this video, I want to talk about what it's like to stay here during the warm summer months because they do actually get a fairly decent winter. I'm here with a group of about 20 people, and our leader is actually from Split, grew up here, has been here his whole life. So I had a couple times to spend some heart-to-hearts with him, asking about what this place is like in the winter. And actually it does get down fairly cold, from what he says around like 5 to 10, which is, if you're in Fahrenheit, around like 50s. So he did say, like, you know, around 10 years ago, they did get a little bit of snow, but typically, it's never going to get that cold here, and there are people who actually swim in the ocean year-round. He said most people generally, if you're from Split, you'll swim until like November in the ocean, and then you'll start going again in like April or May once the water warms back up. But you can actually swim year-round. It never is going to freeze. It's never going to be that cold that you can't access the ocean. So what's it like to actually be in this city? Well, it's a very big beach town. I wasn't sure what to expect here when I came to Split for the first time, as I've never been in Croatia before. I've never been on the Adriatic before, so this was a first in a lot of cases for me. So Split itself, like I said, is situated very, very close to the ocean. Most of the downtown core is right along the water. Not a very big city. The capital of Croatia is Zagreb, so Split just tends to be like one of the more touristy destinations, like I said, for Yacht Week, Sail Week, cruises, that sort of thing. I'm living very close to the downtown, to the city center. I'm just a little bit up the hill, close to a mall called the Joker Mall. That maybe not how you pronounce it. Keep in mind, if you are Croatian watching this video, I'm sorry. I do not speak a word of Croatian. I'm from Canada. Don't hate me. And it's been, you know, very, very walkable city. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I prioritize a city that's accessible, that has good infrastructure, that has good nightlife, and is walkable. That's a really, really important thing to me because I hate renting cars and I don't like Ubering everywhere unless I have to. Obviously, if I'm drunk, kind of you know, stumbling down the hill kind of thing, maybe I'll take an Uber, but ultimately I would rather walk. So let's start first things first with the actual city itself, the safety, the accessibility, that kind of thing. It is, like I said, very, very walkable, but it kind of reminds me of Lisbon in the sense, at least where I'm staying, that there is a lot of hills to get back up to where you're staying. So the city center is kind of down along the Riva, which is like this harbor front area with a bunch of like patios and bars right along the water, which is beautiful, but it's just a little bit out of the ways from where I'm staying. And then if you were going to one of the beaches around town, you typically have to go uphill at least some of the ways. So it is a fairly decent walk. I'm someone who walks like on average 15,000-ish steps a day, so it's not a huge deal for me. But if you're not someone who's really, really used to walking all the time, it may be a little bit of an inconvenience. In terms of safety, this is one of the safest cities I think I've been to in my entire life. I've stumbled home at like 3, 4 a.m. by myself walking down the street, and I've never really felt worried. And not to say that bad things don't happen. Of course, they happen in every city in the world. So always keep your wits about you if you can. But this is not a city where you have to constantly be like watching your phone out of your pocket or making sure you're not like wearing a nice outfit because you could get targeted and then robbed. I don't think that's going to happen very much here. Because there's so many yachts and so many boats coming in and out, and it's just like a very kind of luxurious place to stay, I don't think there's really that much targeting because you don't really stand out. There's a lot of people I've seen walking down the street wearing like really gaudy outfits, kind of dressed like, in other countries you'd be like, rob me is basically what you're saying across your forehead, but here you kind of just fit in. So I think safety-wise, one of the safest cities I've been to. In terms of like fitness culture, as you know, this is the lifting nomad, so of course fitness is very, very important. It is actually a really healthy city, I would say. I wasn't sure what to expect for food and that sort of thing, but a lot of the food is actually very, I would say, like Mediterranean style or even like Italian or Spanish style food. A lot of pastas, a lot of like fish, a lot of meat dishes with salads, that kind of thing. So when you are eating out, if you're choosing the right options, I don't think it's going to be very difficult to stay in shape throughout this. While you're here, there's a ton of gyms. Like I said, I'm staying close to the Joker Mall, and I'll show a video of this gym here. This was an incredible gym, one of the best I've seen while traveling over the last couple of years. 10 squat racks, 5 benches, every machine imaginable, a huge mobility section, a sauna. This place was absolutely gorgeous. Very expensive comparatively. I think I paid 75 euros for 1 month, but really this is, you know, for me to have all that access and again, be 5-minute walk down the street from this place, it's kind of hard for me to not pay the extra dollar knowing that this is going to be the absolute best investment I can get for a gym. And then because the food scene here is pretty good, I'm actually, you know, I'm staying in really, really good shape here, despite the fact that I'm drinking alcohol a few times a week. So that's kind of a natural segue into talking about the nightlife and what's it actually like to live here. And I would say the nightlife, this is a party town. There are nightclubs here like Vanilla or Central that are open 7 nights a week, from midnight until 5 a.m. basically. And from my understanding, that goes year round. So I'm here in September, which is kind of like the shoulder season, but I would say the shoulder season is a little, doesn't really count for September because right now it's still 30 degrees Celsius every single day. It is hot and sunny. I've been going on boat parties every weekend, and it has not really affected the nightlife at all. Like there is still tons and tons of people here. I've been doing pub crawls. There's one called the Tower Pub Crawl, which is really popular in like all the hostels, they advertise it. I love pub crawls. I think it's a great way to see a new city for the first time if you're new to it. Great way to meet people if you're by yourself. And also it's just like a fun thing to do because a lot of the bars they're gonna take you are to like popular bars that people go to anyways. So why not like meet a group of people, go with like 20, 25, and then just tour from bar to bar and then end up at a nightclub that you could have ended up with anyways. So for me, I think a pub crawl is always worth it. Tower Pub Crawl, 20 euros, 100% recommend if you're in Split. I had a blast doing it. And then following that up, let's talk about kind of the boat parties here, which is just ridiculous. I think if you're here in the warmer months and the boat parties are running, you need to do this. Whether that's you have the time and you're going to do Yacht Week or Sail Week, those things are very, very, from what I heard, highly reviewed. I would say don't cheap out on the boat you go on. I've heard some horror stories of people getting like moldy ass showers and like bugs in all their rooms and no air conditioning and like loud Aussies like stumbling into your room in the middle of the night. So I would say maybe ball out a little bit more and pay for the more expensive option. But with that said, these are really, really fun times. And this is a party town if you're in your young sort of hot girl era and looking to have a good time. I did 2 different boat parties, the Captain's Boat Party and the Out to Sea Split. I'll have a little dialogue here of how to find their websites. They were both really, really good. I think I'm in the off season now, so they weren't completely sold out for the Captain's Boat Party. Now that being said, the Out to Sea Split runs 7 days a week. And to my understanding, it's still sold out every day, and we're in like mid-September at this point. So if you are here during the warm months when that's running, maybe DM them on Instagram, see if they're doing it. It's amazing. You basically leave at like 3 p.m. You go out to the Blue Lagoon on this like big ass yacht kind of thing. There's 2 bars on board, a DJ, a dance floor. You go out and you anchor, then you swim in the Blue Lagoon. Everybody jumps off the boat. You can still hear the music in the water. It's amazing. Everyone's just kind of like partying, having a good vibe. And then sunset starts to come and you end up pulling back into the Split Harbor with sunset like at your back. It's like a beautiful experience and an incredible way to see Split that I don't think you would otherwise. because you don't really get access to that kind of boat on a normal day. So I would say those two things, if you are someone who likes to party and have fun, the boat parties were a blast. I've done 2 of them. I'm planning on doing at least 1 more while I'm still here. Outside of that, like pure working culture, our co-working space is pretty nice. The infrastructure in here as a city is very, very good. You can buy prepaid SIM cards, assuming if you have a phone that is unlocked and you're able to add international SIMs into it. There's little kiosks all along the street called Tiskas, and they sell 10 euros for 10 days of unlimited data 5G SIM cards, which in my mind is absolutely incredible. That's like a third of what I pay in Canada for telecom. So that's what I would recommend if you have a unlocked phone and you're able to add a SIM card. Just go and get one of those however long you're here. 10 euros, save yourself some money. But overall, the infrastructure here in my apartment, the internet's great. I'm in a fairly modern apartment. I'm sure you can tell by the decor. But overall, from what I hear from everyone else in our group, the internet's been great at their houses as well. So it seems like a pretty forward-thinking city. In terms of like other infrastructure that may be relevant or may be valuable for people watching this video, it's a fairly LGBTQ plus inclusive city as well. I believe in 2013 they passed a partnership law, so you can get married as a same-sex couple, but it's not technically a marriage. It's just like a partnership law. So if that's relevant for you, I think that's just worth mentioning. Coming to this country, it seems to be pretty safe for that, and that's something you actually have to be considerate of in some of these Eastern European countries. Outside of that, they have Uber, so you can Uber from the airport. It's relatively close to the downtown core, about like 25-30 minutes in an Uber, then you're right to your apartment. They don't have Uber Eats. They have this thing called Glovo, which is essentially the same thing. You're unable to translate the language on the app, so you may have a little bit of difficulty figuring out what's what. So I would recommend firing up the Google Translate while you're trying to order your food, but otherwise you shouldn't have too many issues. But overall, I think Split's been an amazing city. I'm loving being here. The nightlife is great. 7 days a week, you can go out and have a good time. Everyone here speaks English as well, which I think is worth mentioning. So, in places like Portugal, it's kind of similar to that, where I should say most people speak English. Not everyone, but most people, especially if they're younger, are going to speak English, and very good English at that. I think a couple decades ago, they changed the curriculum in the school system to include English as a language. That way, like kids who were born 20, 25 years ago, who are now adults, they can speak very, very good English. Some of the older people you may have a little bit of difficulty with just because they never learned it in school, but that may be worth mentioning. But other than that, I think that's what it's like to stay in Split. It's been a great city so far. I've loved it. One of my favorite cities I've nomaded in. I think right now the weather is perfect. If it got a little bit colder, I maybe wouldn't be as happy with the city. So that's maybe worth mentioning if you're looking at coming in like October, November, December, January, February. It's going to be colder than what you're seeing right now. But other than that, hopefully this video was useful. This has been my experience as a digital nomad staying in Split, Croatia. I've loved it. I would love to come back next summer for potentially for a couple weeks, do a yacht week maybe, who knows, that's like a next year decision. But for now, that's going to be it. If it was useful, feel free to leave a like or comment in the section below. Always helps the algorithm. And as always, my name's Alex. Welcome back to Lifting Nomad. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.